Okay, let's get a quick session in here. Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Ah, whatever. Okay, let's make sure this is good. Let's do this real quick. We are going to do a 50 bomb. Quick 50 never hurt. Quick 50 literally never hurt. Okay, so this is already ready to go from yesterday. Here is where we need to start here. I don't need to read this, it's fine. You just skim it. Yeah. So it should not be one mutable day row, I don't think. I don't know if that's gonna work well. I think it should be the same thing. It's like there's just one active one per day. So this is something new to think about here. So is it gonna be able to handle all of this template stuff the way it's designed now if it's just one mutable day row? Right, like is that gonna work? So and then also it doesn't work well with versioning. Like if the user wants to do undo. Okay, so I'm just making my way through everything now. Specifically, I'm at section 4.2 right now, the design principles. And we have it as one mutable day row for the schedule deliverable. And I know that is how it was designed before, but I don't think that's the approach that we should take. It should be similar to the template deliverable where there's multiple entries per day, and it's basically the one that is active gets the actual draw in the UI. The reason I think we need multiple rows is because it allows for versioning history, like the user can click undo or whatever, and then that will easily let them, go back to a previous version, whereas that's not supported if it's just one mutable day row. Everything is lost, right? All records are lost anytime there's a change. You can't go forwards or backwards. So that's that. Basically, the idea here is as we're designing this, we need to be able to support all of the different types of functionality that we already started thinking about in the template layer, meaning, you know, the ability to insert daily templates, build activity templates simultaneously, see them being drawn on the schedule when they become active. If there's a daily template and they need to, you know, remove a specific event or insert a one-off, that like the schedule should be able to handle all that. So anyways, I couldn't ramble off every single example that we went through on the template layer right now, but the idea is that everything that we did think of already in the template layer, which would exist in the Life OS deliverable plan file, that should get mapped over correspondingly to how the schedule table should interact with those worked examples. So yeah, that's just the first thing that I'm thinking right now. Yeah, it should be more like there's a new row for every version of that schedule's iteration on that day, and then it just draws the one that has active. Anytime a new one is spawned, that gets active. Um, yeah, exactly. So does this need the same type of thing? Probably just the version chain is fine. Like I'm trying to think why you would need a version ID row. That is how you point to like a parent. Yeah, so it's, yeah, yeah. Need both. Yeah, and also the idea is like the user shouldn't have to fill in the full calendar if they don't want to. Like I personally like to do that, but it shouldn't be like imposed as like, you know, you have to fill the full day. So I think this, doing every single solution that changes geometry, like templates and then yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yep. So yeah, yes. So it's not even that you want to support undo functionality. It's just because like what I'm thinking, okay, if you want to have undo, let's say they make a change that requires changing an activity template, right? And that takes you from schedule version 1 to version 2, right? And then you do undo version 1 back to version 2 back to version 1. If version 1 was using the old version of the template, but the undo button doesn't revert the template change as well, then everything breaks, right? Like if previous versions point to things that have changed following new versions, then things break. Yeah, which this would never happen though, right? Yeah, so I think the change here is definitely the right way to go. There's just a few things that I do have concern about. So specifically, let's focus on the ability to have like an undo feature, right? Where, clicking the undo button would essentially go back a version. Let's imagine a scenario where you went from version 1 to version 2 in the schedule table, and that change was associated with a new version of an activity template, for example. Say from version 1 to version 2, the activity template changed, and that's what the difference is in the geometry on the schedule deliverable table, right? So if you click the undo button, it would take you back to version 1, which is pointing to an activity template that no longer necessarily exists, right? Because from version 1 to version 2, that template changed. So I'm just seeing there's a possibility to break things if we do allow that undo feature. It's just something to think about. Like undo might have to undo all the actions that were involved in going from version 1 to version 2, but that sounds like an extremely complicated thing to keep track of. Um, just something I'm thinking about. And then other than that, though, basically our goal here is we want to think of every single possible example that the user can go through, like all the different types of actions they can go through while drawing a schedule, and make sure that this data structure accounts for all of those things. So we basically did that already for the template side of things, or at least like as much as we could think of. So for sure, we need to map those over to the schedule deliverable, but we also might actually need to think of more examples outside of just the template to schedule mapping. There could be actually even more. So it is the next day now, and I am ready to continue with actually doing this work. So where do you think the best place to start is, and how should we go about doing this? I'm looking now at this still open in the column walk quick decisions. So 3 follow-ups. So is complete and is verified. So is complete is not a part of the deliverable. It's just is active, I think. Plus maybe a status. Yeah, you don't need verified or complete because verified is whatever the active version is. It's not like you're locking in a persistent reusable template like you would in um, the template version, like you do need verified and complete. There is no definition for complete, and there is no need to verify, so we don't need that in the schedule side. Here, when you say full snapshot versus delta per version, so let me just try to understand what you mean. I think, okay, so the delta per version makes maybe the most sense because then the undo feature becomes easier to deal with, I guess, but then also at the same time, it doesn't solve the issue where if, previous versions are pointing to no longer existing like template references, for example, because those changed from version 1 to version 2. So yeah, that's something still to think about. And then what's this? Source capture version IDs. Yeah, we should still have the source capture version ID. We should always link the input that corresponded with the schedule draw. Yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, I mean, yeah, that just makes sense. I'm gonna let this do its thing. Hold on. One sec. Oh. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it should just point to something inactive. Yeah, that's smart actually. So it just points to that version that's inactive, something like that. Hmm. So this is an important decision. Right, like, hmm. 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 It's either option A or C for sure. Um, hmm. Schedule only undo plus segment. So it's saying instead of pointing to the template, it just uses whatever the template was. I think that's actually maybe a really good idea. So basically, like anytime a template gets used, it'll take what that template is and then turn it into a non-template like instance, basically, and it'll actually draw based off of like as if you schedule each event individually, but then also keep track of the fact that these events here came from this template. That means when you do any sort of like undo or anything, like it doesn't stay tied to any sort of specific template link. It's just events, right? So then if you did want to do some sort of work on top of that, it's more easily supportable. I think that makes more sense. So Yeah, delta's a bad idea. Okay, so what do you think about either option A or C? Which one do you think is better to handle this, right? Like what I'm thinking is if you use option C, any like scheduled deliverable is not explicitly tied to a template in the way that it gets drawn in the UI. But it does maintain the information that these set of ordered events corresponds to this template, right? Like that could be a separate column in the deliverable table that essentially maps like, okay, these are templates that are making up the events inside of the scheduled deliverable UI draw column, like the segments column, without actually, breaking things when you do the undo thing. Because if segments explicitly did point to a template, then the undo feature becomes very complicated. So I think option C does make the most sense. Let me just scroll up and see what option A was again really quickly just to make sure. I can't actually see option A now. So yeah, I my intuition is saying option C is the strongest, and then yeah, I am ready to go on to essentially drafting 4.2 and 4.3.1 in chat, and then once we go over those, we will get them into the actual schedule file. Well, let me just finish this, then I'm gonna read it. I can't click. Fine for now. Fucking wrist feels like. Okay. Yeah, this is why this doesn't work for option A. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. That's the idea. I don't think is okay. Everything looks good that you outlined for section 4.2, except I'm not sure that we need is complete. Or I guess we do need is complete, right? Because in order to draw, you need, yeah, you would need like an anchor and a duration and a title. Yeah, so we do need is complete, and basically the rule for is complete is the same thing as the rule for templates. You need a title and a duration, which is the same as templates, but then for the schedule, there's an additional rule that you need an anchor time as well. Other than that, I haven't looked through your full 4.3.1 example. Oh no, this is the column breakdown. Okay, so I haven't looked through 4.3.1 yet, but yeah, before I do that, just review what I just said about 4.2 and let me know what you think. Getting close. Core loop is getting very close, dangerously close. Once all these tables are done, now the way we need to think through like the the contracts essentially is like, okay, what can the user do and how do we handle each of those cases? And that's basically like one activity at a time or multiple, and then one template or multiple for activity, then activity plus daily, and then essentially editing scenarios where they want to edit. So it's either the one-off edits to templates, like so it's really not that much that they can do. And then if it doesn't fit into one of those things, we just tell them to basically fuck off and try again. But I think we're actually in a good spot because most of those things I just listed I've actually already designed. So I think we're pretty close here. Yeah. Yeah, so the way that we're going to handle incomplete segments on the schedule deliverable is going to be not drawing them, I think. If there's no anchor. If there is a anchor but no duration, that is allowable because basically you can anchor something at the start and indicate that we just don't know the duration, and then it just shows kind of like a box around that anchor, and then I actually designed this already, so I mean this already exists. So anyways, the point being is in the scenario where there is no anchor, yeah, you can't draw it. And in the scenario where there is an anchor but not a duration, it can be drawn. And then anytime there's not a title, it just wouldn't be drawn until there is a title. Actually, even if there's no title, it can be drawn. The rule is basically if there's an anchor, you can draw it. If there's a title and a duration missing, you prompt the user to get that information. Um, with that being said, like there needs to be some way to essentially track the same way we did with templates, whether or not a schedule segment is complete, right? Like it's actually not that the whole schedule is complete. It's each segment complete, right? Like the idea is it's basically like think of it like this, like the schedule deliverable is essentially a collection of mini templates that are either actual templates or just one-off instances, right? So all the same rules that apply to templates should apply the same way here, right? Like the same type of completion rules and all that stuff. Obviously, the way it interacts with the UI is different, but that's the same type of idea. So yeah, consider that, and then I think we're basically ready to go on to 4.3.1 once we figure out any other columns or whatever might be necessary to account for what I just said, and then yeah, I'll go through all of the columns one by one. Yeah, so it's like each segment basically gets a flag. How can you have active true? Oh, I see. True. So shouldn't is active be linked to each segment? Okay, so it's not that is active can be true or is complete is false. It should be that each segment has its own is active and is complete, right? And then those get drawn depending on the rules of whether or not those are false or true. So it should be per segment we have active and complete, not across the entire row. There essentially is no need to have is active or is complete across the entire row because it's whatever is being drawn for that day is whatever is being drawn for that day, and that's comprised of whatever is is active and is complete for the segments that make up that day. So it's by segments, not per row, which is a major difference from templates. It's the same idea, but instead of applying it per row because each template is one row, we now apply it per segment. So yeah, look that over, and then after that, we'll do 4.3.1. Do more push-ups. I'll update the tracker. Good. Yeah, I guess you need both. True. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Day anchor at. I don't know what that is. That is also not sure. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's like to lock in their thing. I don't know if that's a good feature. It's kind of how much friction. It should already be confirmed, and then you can just make edits if you want. Yeah, let's drop status. I don't know what day anchor at is. This is, yeah. I need to see the full breakdown of segments. Source cap. Yep. Local offset. Yep. Okay, everything looks good for 4.3.1. For the seventh column, day anchor at, I'm not sure what this is. Can you explain this? Status, I don't think we need. The reason we had this before is because I wanted in the UI basically to have the user confirm schedule blocks, which I think is a bad idea. Actually, it's very high friction. I think it should just be placed in, and then if they want to make edits, they can just go ahead and do that. They don't need to confirm something. It seems redundant. For section 9 segments, it seems like you have it right, but I need to see the full breakdown of this column. It's going to need to be some sort of, I guess, JSON structure to support having the is active and is complete flags, as well as, mapping out all of the segments that make up the full day with their anchor time, title, uh, duration, all that stuff. Source capture version ID, yep. Time zone offset, yep. And then created at and updated at. Yep, those are also good. Should those be separate columns, created at and updated at? Yeah, that's the first thing I'm thinking here about 4.3.1. A day pattern. It doesn't need this. Just do that in the segments. Okay, yeah, so for column 7, we definitely don't need day anchor at. You can just handle this inside of segments. I don't think we need a separate column to have an anchor time specifically for daily templates. It should just apply the anchor to the first index of the daily template inside of segments and then build forward as appropriate inside of segments. Yeah, you can let me know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm thinking for that. Column 8, yep, definitely we're going to drop it. And then, yeah, after you read this, send me back column 9, the segments full breakdown after. But yeah, let me know what you think about 7, and then we'll look at column 9 after the full breakdown. As for columns 11 and 12, yeah, 2 separate columns, that's correct. What am I planning? So I'm building the future of how humans and AI will interact in their day-to-day life. I'm building a life operating system. I can show you what I mean. Hold on. I can give you a quick preview of the idea. Would you like to see a demo? Pick a random day. You want to see a demo? Let me know. I'll show you. Okay, so the first idea is the ability to interact with LLMs to plan your life in a seamless and easy way. So, for example, schedule a meeting with Reality Raider today. Should be at like 9 probably. You can just talk to it in natural English language. It'll pick out things that you said that were useful, things that it didn't understand, more information it needs. So, for example, here I didn't give it an AM or PM, so it inferred the time. So if I meant AM, I can swap it. It also didn't pick up how long our meeting is going to be, so it's asking me to follow up. It's going to be about a 30-minute meeting. So now we'll draw this in here. Blah, blah, blah. Then I could say, for example, I need to do the gym at 10 as well. That's going to be 10 a.m. It should take about an hour. So this is the first idea. You can build templates over time. So like the building of your schedules gets more seamless over time the more you use it. And then the important layer that goes on top of this is basically over time we'll be collecting data on the user regarding like how well they follow their schedule in practice, their energy levels, their mood, their all the context surrounding what actually happens in their daily life. And eventually the system will be able to function as like a coach and help you essentially optimize your life. And then we're going to be building in like domain specific toolkits for different areas of life. So like if you're a fitness guy or whatever, there will be a toolkit for that, so that will plug right in. The LLM will be able to understand that context as it relates to the other things going on in your life. So yeah, long story short is it's basically an operating system for your life. It interfaces humans and LLMs basically. That's the idea. And it's a mobile app, so I mean it looks a little bit weird here because this is on the computer. Detail, I have 1 hour gym at 9 a.m. then an hour, so yeah. Yes, it will. It will. So it will do that. The current model that I'm showing you right now does not because I hadn't developed it yet. But what I'm actually building right now, like literally in this planning right now, is the supporting of that. So you can ramble off your entire day all at once, and then it will figure out what pieces of information are still missing from all those things. It will draw what it can in the schedule, and then it will essentially prompt you in a smart way to collect the missing information and guide you towards actually building the schedule. So what I'm building right now is the back-end data structure to support the ability to do essentially what you're talking about, like multi-turn processing. So like you can create multiple templates at a time and schedule an event and build it. Like you can do everything all at once. And also like, what's phase two about? So like basically I'm going through an entire data structure rebuild right now. So the way I initially built it, it was very focused on like just getting something to work, like to test the idea that LLMs were capable of doing this, like the simple version. So the data structure didn't support like the actual complexity of human life. Like an example, like you're talking about, like saying 5 different activities at once and trying to schedule it all at once. I didn't build it initially to support that because first I wanted to test like, okay, can it do one thing? So right now what I'm doing is I'm building the entire data structure from scratch basically. And I split that process up into a bunch of phases, and it's phase two is just one of the phases that's a part of rebuilding that data structure, and I think explicitly it's the deliverables. Yeah, yeah. So here, so there's basically three phases I'm going through. So there's an input capture layer, which is the ability for the LLM to take what you're saying and segregate that data and in a way that makes sense. And then phase two, which is what I'm working on right now, is how it takes that input capture and maps that to the app's deliverables, like drawing on the schedule, building templates, stuff like that. And then phase three is essentially the mapping contracts between that input layer and the deliverable layer. And then once those three phases are done, that's basically the entire core loop of the product. And then from there, we can build everything else on top of it. But yeah, so right now, specifically what I'm working on, like in this exact moment, is phase two deliverables for schedule drawing. I've already done the entire input capture layer in phase one. I did all of the templates. Um, kind of. So, kind of. I wouldn't say building is AFK. I would say I use orchestrators 100%. I would agree with that. I do a ton of planning. I test all edge cases before I ever implement any code. I think through everything logically. I don't just let the LLM do whatever it wants. Like I'm basically working with the LLM to write the entire roadmap before any code is ever written. And then when I do the building, I tell it to follow the orchestration map step by step very discreetly. And after every step, I check it myself and I go through it and make sure it did what I actually wanted it to do. So I would not say building is AFK, but um, building is a lot more automated than orchestration because when you do the orchestration well, the building pretty much it just does it right. The models are pretty good now. So building is not quite AFK, but it's a lot closer to AFK than the orchestration part. Like the orchestration part, I'm doing all the thinking. Like the LLM is basically listening to what I'm saying and doing what I say, and I'm walking through the entire app basically with the LLM in orchestration, and then yeah, in the build, it definitely has more autonomy, but I still check everything. So no, not AFK, but somewhere in between AFK and still doing something. Do you do vibe coding or anything, or do you work in software or what? Oh, I forgot where I was. Here. Segment ID active. Yes, yes. I build small testable pieces one by one. So I basically orchestrate the entire like core product loop, and then I actually build them though like one by one, very small piece by piece. And I reiterate over those small pieces until they work as intended, and then I go to the next piece. So orchestration is do the whole thing piece by piece with as much detail as you can, like test all the edge cases, do full worked examples, really think through what it is you're orchestrating. Then when you go implement it, you don't just click build the whole thing. You build phase one, then you build phase two, then you build phase three. Check all the data tables that it wrote in your backend. You do a full, test of all the worked examples that you went through in the orchestration. You actually do them, check them on the UI, make sure they're working properly. Um, yeah, it's a lot of time investment up front, but you save time in the long run. So active, complete, these are good. Order index, order index. Um, Not sure what this is. I remember like it was something to do with like, oh, I remember. If you have two activities at the same anchor time, it basically says which one takes priority, I think, something like that. And then what's this draw group ID? I got a follow from UDG17 on Kick. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to, you're still here. If you want to see the journey, I'm live literally every day doing this. And I will be live every day until this app works as my vision sees it working. And until I make $1 million. Holy shit, there's a dragon impling. I gotta go catch it. Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, I gotta go to the bank. Dragon impling, dragon impling. Hold on. Oh fuck, this is... Oh, I'm not where the bank is. I went the wrong way. Hold on. Still here. I didn't see where it went. I should just have a thing with me at all times here. So where to go? If I run around looking for this thing? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Come here, little guy. I don't have snare. Do I? No. Don't you dare go on the water. This is so troll. This is so troll. It's just teasing me. I can't even see it now. Are you kidding me? Now there's our magpie here. Oh my god, come here. Come here, make it worth it. Come here, come here, come here. Be a good boy. Oh my god, please. 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 Just one swipe it. Don't fly away. Thank you. What are we gonna get? Was it worth it? Dragon arrows. Take it. Take it. Okay, so order index and draw group ID. I have no idea, honestly. I gotta ask. Label. Um, so I might need aliases here. So you don't need end time, right? It's just start and duration, right? Mm, end time's fine. Okay, let's go through each of these sections in column 9 one by one. We'll start with the life cycle flags. Everything is making sense up until order index and draw group ID. Can you explain those? And then yeah, so duration will get converted into start end time here, I think. That's a better way to do it. I'm actually thinking I don't know if I should go through this whole thing right now because I am pretty tired. I should probably do this in the morning with like a fresh mind. And sort order. So it doesn't work though because I don't know if this works. Okay, no, I see, I see. It makes perfect sense. I see. And then draw group ID. Okay, I see. That works. Okay, those both actually do make sense. So just to clarify, order index is basically saying it's handling the case where there's two segments that have the same start time and figuring out how to prioritize those. Is that basically the idea? Or is it just saying like aside from start and end time, like just in general the order in which the segment lives and the total set of segments? Like for example, if you have like gym and then shower, like the order index of gym is 0 and then the order index of shower is 1, something like that. Um yeah, is it doing both actually? Is it handling when there are overlapping start times as well as just the overarching order of segments that make up the day? Um I'm honestly not super sure why you would need this when we already have start and end times mapped, which essentially preserves the order, right? Like, why do we actually need the order index if it isn't explicitly handling the two segments with the same start time problem? And then for a daily template slot index, I kind of see what you're getting at here. Like, the idea is basically to group things together that came from one utterance. And then if the user says something like, like, oh, add a stretch before my gym, the system can know, okay, like these are all clustered segments that belong together from one previous utterance. So it will know to put it before like gym instead of before commute or whatever, something like that. Is that kind of the idea? I'm not exactly sure how this will work in practice, but is that kind of the idea here? Okay, this is honestly something I should for sure do tomorrow because it's not simple. For which slot in the Oh, so it's explicitly for I see. Okay, I understand that then. So this is basically linking where in the template it came from. Okay. Okay, we're gonna keep it for now. Okay, I see. We're gonna keep order index. It doesn't hurt to have the extra information for now. If it appears to not be needed in the future, we'll just get rid of it. For now, I think we can keep it. Draw group ID, I understand. So it's basically just segments that came from one schedule intent utterance. Um, Daily template slot index, I understand now. You're basically mapping which segment came from which index in the daily template. So my question is then why don't we have an activity template slot index? Because the same way daily templates can be made up of multiple activity templates, essentially, multiple activity templates can be made up of um, multiple events. So shouldn't there be something analogous to this daily template slot index for activity templates as well? Basically something that says this came from this slot in this template. This segment came from this index of this template. Something like that. The event label. Okay, I see. So we do have it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it makes more sense to actually map it via a label in the activity template case anyways. I'm wondering actually, should we do the mapping for daily templates the same way? Should it be via a label, or does it make more sense to do it via an index? It's okay if we have asymmetry. We should just do whatever makes the most sense for each case of either activity or daily templates. The one thing that I haven't thought of yet is like activities that span like across days. Like say somebody wants to go on vacation, right? Like they should be able to say like from the 5th to the 10th I'm on vacation. Like Google Calendar has something like that where it's like, it doesn't go down the times of each day, but it goes across. Like it's just an overarching thing that's happening on those days. I think we'll add that later. I'm gonna write that here. Like cross day, or even like full day. Like instead of breaking a day down by like time slots, it's like just things that happen on that day. It's almost like tasks, like something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the future, if we see a need to, we can change the way daily templates work to have essentially a label for each activity template that makes it up rather than relying solely on the indexing. But for now, it should be fine to just have this index reference. With that being said, let's move on to section B of segments. Okay, this is probably the perfect place to stop. Let me see. I'm going to just take a look quickly at what it says. This is probably the perfect place to stop here. What did we clock here? Yeah, that's fine. So this is where the alias idea comes in, spoken alias. I don't, why would you need both? Okay, so label is definitely needed. The way we have section B and C segregated right now feels kind of weird. Like, why do we have duration in here, but we have start and end time in section C? Um, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think all of the relevant information regarding how the UI actually draws should be a part of this section B, so we can look at all of that clearly. So basically, section C and B need to be merged into one thing, so I can look at it all as one coherent thing. The main thing that I'm questioning here is activity label. I don't really know what the point of this is. One potential thing to consider though is spoken alias, like the same idea we had in templates where the user could be calling the label something different than what the label actually is. Like instead of saying commute, they would be saying like I want to whip my McLaren, you know, and then the label it gets would be like commute, but then the spoken alias would be that more specific version. Um, yeah, so activity label, not so sure. Spoken aliases is probably something that should be attached to each segment. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know why we have segregated section C from B because they're kind of handling the same thing. Duration, minutes, start, and I mean, there's a little bit of redundancy there, but I guess they all compute from each other. Like if you have start and duration, then you also have end. If you have start and end, you also have duration. So it doesn't hurt to just write down all three of them, I guess. And then anchor inferred. This is basically just keeping track of whether or not the user explicitly said like AM or PM, right? That's basically the idea. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, I think all of this looks good now in section B. Let's move on to section, I mean, I guess it's D because we merged C and B. So yeah, let's move on to section D. So far, so good. This is what I do. Like, I know I should stop right now, but like, I don't want to stop. But I know I'm not thinking as clear as I can be. You know what? I'm just gonna stop right now. This is the perfect place to stop. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna be up at 6 o'clock, 5:30, whatever, and we'll keep going. On day 50. Oh, this doesn't say the right day. Okay. Just update this real quick.